Hey everyone, Robert here, author of Expansion Mastery, the practical guide to living a fully engaged life. Are you ready to live life to the fullest? Are you ready and willing to transform yourself and your life from ordinary to extraordinary? Welcome, my friends, to the Fully Engaged Life. Welcome back to the show, everyone. Before we get started with today's episode, I would like to cover a couple of updates. As you most likely know by now, the new website is up and operational. www.expansionmastery.com is back in business. There you can find in our store autographed copies of Expansion Mastery, as well as my popular ebook, Reinventing Yourself Through Realignment. This is a newly revised and expanded edition with some very, very important information that I've added to that book. And while you're there, of course, there's some new blog content, some new photos throughout the website, courtesy of my darling wife. And while you're there, make sure to add your name and email address so that you get on the Expansion Mastery family list so that you can receive notifications of special giveaways and free giveaways and things that I'm going to do, some contests I plan on holding. The only way you will be included in that is if you are on that list. And of course, I respect your privacy. I do not sell your information. And soon to be added to the website is going to be an all-new audio program, and this is going to be released in various levels. And what I'm putting together is, in my opinion, one of the most comprehensive programs available on how to use the breath in spiritual and meditative practices. The breath is the very foundation of spiritual practice, and what I intend to do is to offer you a step-by-step training program teaching you what truly needs to be present when you work with the breath and how to attain certain transformations based on the breath. This will help give you an incredibly powerful platform from which to launch the rest of your spiritual practices. The product will be available through download. It will be in an MP3 format. So all of my friends out there in Europe who have contacted me, you are definitely going to get what you asked for, and you'll be able to get all of these things on MP3 so that you can put them on your favorite device and listen to them whenever and wherever you wish. So make sure and check back often to see if those products are available on the website yet. Okay, so this program is about learning how to live fully engaged. And this requires us to attain certain levels of awareness, of mindfulness, of awakening. Along with this, it is living life as an adventure instead of something you get through day to day. It's about getting the most out of every possible moment, as well as attaining a sense of spiritual expansion in your present lifetime. Now, I know many of you listeners understand this, so I'm stating this for the newer people who are joining us. But in addition to that, I'd like to use this as an opportunity because on my social media platforms, my own personal Facebook page especially, which any of you are welcome to friend me on, as well as my author page. But on my personal page, my wife and I post albums of all of our adventures. The one that we just had going to the Mediterranean. So all kinds of things are on there, and we try to share these things as a way of being living examples of what I'm trying to help others to attain. Sometimes it's easy for people to misunderstand this and get jealous and then not want to friend that they think it's about bragging or something. I assure you that is not the case. I haven't reached awakened perfection yet by any stretch of the imagination, but I'd like you to understand the intention behind what I post. I post those things for friends, family, for anyone who follows my work to see that I'm actually living what I am not only teaching but stressing to people is possible. My wife and I have numerous people whom we know personally that reference our social media pages to give them ideas of what to do for their next adventures, which I think is really cool. And we have others who are maybe not in a position, at least at the moment, to experience such adventures. So they go to our pages and visit that as a way to live vicariously through us until they can develop that. And the idea with that is that through that they can see that and put themselves in that position. And that helps to bring about the vibrational frequency that will be a match to that. So then hopefully they will start attracting those opportunities into their own life. So in Japanese martial arts, there's a title or term called shihan. And what this basically translates as and refers to is someone who is a living example. And that is what I am trying to do with anything on my social media, whether it be for my family or my friends or my clients. That's what I'm trying to do. So please realize it isn't about flaunting anything or bragging or anything like that. What I hope to do, and the way I hope it's coming across, is that I am inspiring you to go out and do those things too. Go to the places you like. It doesn't have to be exactly where I go, of course. Whatever you like, wherever you would like to visit, whatever adventure you would like to have. And then you can post yours on there so all of us can enjoy what you're doing as well. And I really love to see that. I love to see my family and friends posting, very cool vacation photos or adventures that they're having. And some of the people I'm friends with on Facebook and Twitter are doing some incredible things. And that excites me to see them doing such great things and having such a good time enjoying their life. So you see, it's all about the intention. Intention is at the very core of a lot in life, especially with spirituality. And sometimes the ego makes it difficult for us to recognize someone's true intentions. So I just wanted to state that for the record. So if you are interested in friending me on there, even with my personal page, please don't hesitate to do so. I'm happy to friend anyone. And that way I can enjoy seeing the adventures that you have going on and the exciting things in your life too. And I'm going to be honest, I really don't like Facebook. I don't like it. I don't like the business model. I don't like the censorship. There's many things about Facebook, Twitter, and other social media platforms that I do not respect at all, but it's a useful tool. So that's how I use it, to stay in touch with my personal friends, my family members, and then anybody who would like to be a friend. I have several people on there from all over the world, and many of them I've actually met in person, and we've got to form real friendships. And others we've touched base on Facebook alone and have that kind of relationship as well. And that's perfectly fine. I enjoy all of it. So that's that. Okay, I think you're all caught up now. So what I wanted to do was use this episode to clarify a couple of things. One of the things that I discuss a lot is the observer or the witness. And In many traditions, this can be referred to as the mind, or it can be referred to as a consciousness. It can be referred to as all kinds of different things. So what I wanted to do was give you a bit of a definitive explanation of this, especially how I'm using it, in order to offer a greater sense of clarity in your practices. When I teach mindfulness practices, the very first one that I give has you using the observer to observe the body as it breathes and to observe the mind as it thinks and focuses on a single thought. Not only do I teach this in person to students and clients, but I've also shared it here on this podcast show. So you have access to that. The idea is to help you come to the realization that you, the real you are not your body, nor are you your mind. And if we are not our body or our mind, then what are we? What it is we reconnect to the observer. And the observer is above mind. It is not another aspect of mind. It is a step above the mind. And it's a step below our pure conscious awareness when we're no longer in physical and mental form. So what this is actually sort of a lower or lesser state of consciousness. It's not the conscious mind, because the conscious mind we can observe as it's in play. So this is something else. This is our consciousness, and we can kind of feel that it is all around us. It's not located in our head. So this is important to understand. When we refer to the witness or the observer, this is sort of a bridge. It's a bridge between the mind and pure conscious awareness. And it is this state of lesser consciousness or lower consciousness that we are looking to reconnect to and then begin developing a greater, more intimate connection to, realizing that it's taking us one step closer to our actual, real, true self, our essence, our pure conscious awareness. And this is one of the things at the core of authentic mindfulness training, is that you are reconnecting to your lower consciousness state, the observer. And when you do that, when you reconnect to the observer, the witness, it takes you out of the mind. Okay, because you can observe your mind, so you realize that it isn't that, and you're not really thinking. You have a sense of knowing and awareness for, because it's not thought, right? It doesn't contain mind. However, when we do this, and it helps us to separate from the mind, we also get to separate from the ego. And the more we can hold this state where we are connected to our lesser state of consciousness, the more we are separated from the ego, and the more it begins to dissolve away. You see, a lot of people think that overcoming the ego has to be this big, tremendous battle. But think about it. It can be as easy as just letting it go by stepping outside of the place it dwells, the mind. So this is an important aspect of mindfulness, is to connect to this. And then as we continue on the spiritual path, after we have attained a heightened state of mindfulness, and as we continue on the spiritual path towards awakening, then what happens is we actually transcend this lower state of consciousness and become our true essence, our pure conscious awareness. And it's that point that is referred to as being awakened or enlightened. So it's very interesting to think about, something to consider, that the more time we can spend connected to the observer, the witness, our lower state of consciousness, the more time we end up spending out of the mind, and the less time we spend identifying as the ego. And when we're not identifying with the ego, it begins to simply dissolve away. Why? Because it's no longer necessary. So as I share with the very first mindfulness practice that I teach, which I've given on a previous podcast, you can begin to reconnect to your observer. You can observe your body as it's breathing, letting you know that you're not doing the breathing. You can observe your mind as it's thinking and focusing thoughts. You're able to observe how those thoughts arise, how they stay steady or wander. You're able to observe the mind as it does its work, allowing you to realize that you are indeed not your mind. And at the same time, we attain a high state of relaxation, a very specific brainwave frequency, and we then allow our body to drop our mind into the body and sync our breathing process from our chest, which is unhealthy labored breathing, down into our abdomen where it is natural and healthy. I don't know about you guys, but I think that's a pretty awesome lineup for a beginning exercise. So throughout the mindfulness practices, what we are doing is we are engaging and working with the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind, the conscious mind, the lesser consciousness, and then our greater consciousness, or our pure conscious awareness. So over the past year and a half, I've had several people throughout Europe contacting me, asking me if I would make the breath bridge into an MP3. Well, I didn't do that. However, I did something better for you. I'm going to make an entire series, and you can choose whatever level you want. I'm going to release it from the beginning level and go up through on the breath. And it's going to include the breath bridge, and it's going to actually contain better, deeper instruction and some science that supports it along with it. And all of this will be available for you on MP3. Now, I'm bringing that up again so that all of my friends who contact me and ask me about that, which I greatly appreciate, you know something's coming. You're going to get what you asked for, but it's going to come in the form of something better. You see, the breath bridge is an important practice because what is the bridge? Well, we're bridging the gap between the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. We're starting with the conscious mind, and then what we have to do is walk a bridge, so to speak, in order to go into the unconscious or subconscious minds. Now, we are doing this, and some of the science behind that is really easy, because what we are starting with is usually something like a beta brainwave frequency, normal thinking behavior, normal conscious mental behavior. And what we are going to do is, through breathing and relaxation, we're going to lessen our brainwave frequency, taking it down to an alpha wave. Here is the bridge. This is the bridge. Okay, so there's a vibrational frequency connected to the breath and all that we do. Remember, at the very core of everything I'm teaching you is vibration. And this is one way we work with vibration, is through brainwave frequency. So the breath bridge itself is actually in the range of the alpha brainwave. And what we are trying to do is use that to then go into the theta and even delta wave frequencies. That's where the mind is slower, and that's where we engage the unconscious and subconscious minds, are in those lower brainwave frequency levels. So this all has to do with meditation, it has to do with mindfulness practice, has to do with the breath bridge, but you can see that there's solid science behind all of this, and that's what it's all based on. So things like the breath bridge are a practice, a technique, if you will, that allows us to use a certain vibrational frequency as a bridge from one thing to another. Because we have to remember, at the core of it all, we're attempting to access the unconscious and subconscious patterns of our mind, explore them, observe them, and then work with them to make them more healthy, positive, and productive. So our objective then is to use the conscious mind to then attain access to the unconscious and subconscious minds and bring that stuff, those processes, those patterns from the unconscious, from the subconscious, into the conscious mind. This is the idea of mindfulness. Do you understand how that is the meaning of mindfulness? It's not just being aware of something. It's about being aware, being consciously aware of what is typically unconscious or subconscious, through which we have little to absolutely no awareness of at all. And this is where we engage meditative practices. And we do that until we transcend the mind altogether. We transcend the conscious mind, unconscious mind, subconscious mind, and then we are in consciousness. We are then navigating between lower consciousness and higher consciousness, attempting to connect directly to that higher consciousness. So the first step is to transcend the unconscious and subconscious minds, bringing it all into the conscious mind. And then we are looking to transcend the conscious mind into our lower consciousness. And then we're looking to transcend our lower consciousness into our higher consciousness, or pure conscious awareness. This is the core, in a nutshell, of the spiritual path. So what are you waiting for? It all starts from that first mindfulness practice. That's your first step onto this path. And I've shared that with the world for free. So access that podcast, engage that practice. I guide you through it. I explain it so you can do it. You can start blazing your trail on the spiritual path and begin living a fully engaged life. Please make sure and visit us at the all-new www.expansionmastery.com. Check out all of the new content there and grab your autographed copy of Expansion Mastery or the newly expanded and revised ebook. Also, support us on social media. Please share these podcasts. Let's get some real spirituality out there. Let's put down-to-earth, real practices in the hands of those who would like to use them and benefit from them. And make sure that you like and subscribe and do all that stuff on social media, especially YouTube. Check out the channel there. Make sure and leave some positive feedback whenever you can on things. All of that activity helps us to have a greater presence in the world. So I appreciate your help with that. And together, you and I can make sure that real spirituality survives these tumultuous times and spread to help this consciousness shift. It's happening, my friends. It is happening. People are waking up, and it's taking a really positive turn lately, in spite of some of the negativity you may be hearing out there. Trust me, it's happening. People are waking up, and we can help ourselves and others at the same time through materials such as this. Until next time, my friends, I wish you the very best in your practices and in your life. Take care.